Hello everyone. Today I am presenting my revised ethical analysis of Kant's categorical imperative, focusing on the moral issue of submitting AI generated academic work without disclosure. This presentation builds on the feedback I received in Unit 6 and reflects improvements in clarity, ethical reasoning, and presentation quality. My goal is to explain Kant's ideas in simple terms and apply them to a real and highly relevant academic scenario. This presentation is a revised version of my Unit 6 narrated PowerPoint based on peer feedback. I focused on simplifying philosophical terminology, strengthening transitions, and explaining ideas more clearly rather than reading from slides. The revision process helped deepen my understanding of deontological ethics, which emphasizes moral duty over outcomes and reinforces the importance of ethical reflection through dialogue and peer engagement. The scenario I analyze is submitting an assignment written by artificial intelligence as one's own work. With the rapid growth of AI tools, this practice has become increasingly common in academic settings. While AI can support learning, submitting AI generated work without acknowledgement raises serious ethical concerns about honesty, responsibility, and fairness. This makes it an ideal case for Kantian ethical analysis. My central argument is that submitting AI generated work without disclosure is morally impermissible under Kant's categorical imperative. This action fails all three formulations of the categorical imperative. It cannot be universalized. It disrespects human rational autonomy, and it undermines the moral foundations of a shared academic community. Additionally, revising the presentation through peer feedback strengthens both ethical reasoning and communication. The objectives of this assignment are fivefold. First, to clearly explain Kant's deontological ethics. Second, to apply all three formulations of the categorical imperative to the AI scenario. Third, to analyze academic dishonesty from a duty-based ethical perspective. Fourth, the incorporate peer feedback to improve clarity and structure. Finally, to demonstrate effective ethical communication for a general audience. Kant's ethical theory is deontological, meaning it focuses on duty rather than consequences. According to Kant, an action is morally right not because it produces good outcomes, but because it follows a rational moral law. Moral agents must act out of respect for this law, not personal gain. The core of Kant's ethics is the categorical imperative, which provides a universal test for moral actions. Kant expresses the categorical imperative in three complementary formulations. These are the formula of universal law, the formula of humanity as an end, and the formula of the kingdom of ends. Although phrased differently, all three test whether an action respects rational moral principles. For an action to be ethical, it must satisfy all three formulations. The formula of universal law states that we should act only according to rules or maxims that we could will to become universal laws. In simple terms, we ask what would happen if everyone acted this way? If universalizing an action leads to contradiction or undermines the practice itself, then the action is morally impermissible. Applying this formulation to the AI scenario, imagine if all students submitted AI generated work as their own. In that case, grades would no longer reflect learning, academic evaluation would lose meaning, and education itself would be undermined because the practice cannot be consistently universalized without contradiction. Submitting AI work dishonestly fails the universal law test. The formula of humanity as an end requires that we treat humanity both in ourselves and others, always as an end and never merely as a means. This means respecting the rational autonomy and moral agency of others rather than using them as tools for personal advantage. When a student submits AI generated work without disclosure, instructors are deceived, institutions are manipulated for credential, and fellow students are treated unfairly. In this case, others are used merely as means to achieve academic success. This violates Kant's requirement to respect persons as rational and autonomous moral agents. The kingdom of ends envisions a moral community where rational individuals collectively create and follow shared moral laws. In such a community, honesty, accountability, and mutual respect are essential. Moral actions should align with principles that all rational agents could agree upon. Submitting AI written assignments without acknowledgement erodes trust within the academic community. If such behavior were accepted, the shared moral framework of education would collapse. Rational agents committed to fairness and integrity would reject this practice, making it morally impermissible under the kingdom of ends formulation. While Kant emphasizes universal moral duties, feminist and intersectional ethics provide valuable context. Feminist ethics highlights power relations and lived experience, while intersectionality shows how rule can affect individuals differently based on social position. These perspectives remind us to promote fair access to education and technology without justifying dishonesty. Ethical rules should be universal, but policies must be socially responsive. In conclusion, applying all three formulations of Kant's categorical imperative shows that submitting AI generated work without disclosure is morally impermissible. Revising this presentation through fair feedback improved both ethical clarity and communication. This process reinforced that ethical reasoning is not aesthetic but reflective, dialogical, and deeply relevant to modern academic life. Thank you for your attention.